Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we build business, create community, find freedom, and share success. It's Saturday morning, which means it's time for another installment of the weekend workshop where we talk about all things preparedness, backup power, emergency power, all that kind of cool stuff, different products that I'd like to review, things that I'd like to share with you so that you're a little bit more prepared. And this week's episode, edition, whatever you want to call it, came out of my AMA. I did an AMA with Float recently. If you guys haven't checked out Float, it's flote.app. I have almost 1,000 followers over there. I love that social platform. They're incredible. They're a free speech platform with a couple. The founding couple are incredible. Aaron and Kingsley are over there, and they'll help you with anything. Anyway, they asked me to do a text-based interview where people could ask me questions. And this one come from one of our Filipino community members. And they wanted to know, they had a friend who has a store and is looking at the possibility of a diesel generator and wanted to know the benefits of looking at a diesel generator. So I thought I'd share with you guys the top 8 reasons why a diesel generator is better than gas and 4 reasons why it isn't. All right guys, real quick, if you're new here, and if you're not and you know the routine, you want to know more about me, toolmantim.co. Run by there, you'll see all my social presences, Float, MeWe, Instagram, Facebook, the works, the monthly newsletter, the weekly podcast, and the shop where I've got over 100 products showcased, stuff that I've used in my handyman business that have solved problems for me, that have made me money or saved me money. Lots of cool different categories over there: household, painting, hand tools, and preparedness items. So run by, check it out. If there's anything you like there and you pick it up, I always make a small commission off that to help support the content I make. So thank you guys. All right, so like I said, this week, man, it's rarely a month goes by that I don't do a generator video. You guys know I'm passionate about backup power. I'm passionate about being prepared. I would be a self-proclaimed prepper. Love to make sure that my family is going to be taken care of when the power goes out or something worse happens to happen. Let's hope it never does, but here we are. So like I said, I got asked, Tim, what do you know about diesel generators? What do you think about them? Should I get one? Is it worth it? And you know, I spent a little bit of time racking my brain, putting some thoughts down on paper to share, and I thought, man, after I've done this, this would make a really good video. So I thought, hey, let's start with the 8 reasons diesel could be considered better than a gasoline generator. So the first one is diesel is significantly less flammable than gas. You might think, well, that's kind of an odd reason. But so number one, say you want to be under the radar. You don't want people to know that you've got a really big stockpile of fuel on hand. And of course, you also want to be safe, because being prepared means being safe. And so you want to keep a 100-gallon tank full of fuel on hand. There's a better chance that gas can become flammable, explode, the whole works than diesel can. So all things being equal, keeping a larger amount of diesel on hand is much safer for you than gas. And if you look into it, some places won't let you store gas legally, right? But they will diesel or fuel oil, just simply because, well, look, a lot of places on the East Coast where I grew up actually heated their house with furnace oil, which is just another version of diesel. And they'd keep 200-gallon tanks in their basement. Much safer. So if you're looking at a safer storage option for fuel, diesel is the way to go. Now, number 2, one of the things that everybody loves about a diesel engine, they require way less maintenance. No spark plugs, no carburetor, just a whole lot less moving parts with diesel. I can't tell you the exact number of gas parts versus diesel parts, but you know how it is. A diesel engine is made to last longer, needs less routine maintenance, the whole works. So if you're looking at something that requires less time, less parts on hand, less points of failure in a generator, then you might just consider a diesel generator, simply because, hey, I know that I just won't have to do as much work with it. Now here's another one, going back to fuel. Diesel has a much longer fuel storage life. If you take a 5-gallon can of gas and you set it on a shelf, and a 5-gallon can of diesel and set it on the same shelf, in 6 months, without any stabilizer, there's a good chance your gas is going to go already or start to turn. and you should get close to a year out of diesel. So if you have no access to fuel stabilizer whatsoever, and you just want the longest life storage that you can find in a fuel, diesel is better. And then, of course, if you add fuel stabilizer to it, you're going to get even longer. But all things being equal, side by side, you should get twice the storage life out of diesel over gas. And to me, I love set it and forget it kind of systems. You know, my security systems, my crack key lettuce growing operation, my worms, once I can set them up and basically forget about it, that's great. And how great would it be to be able to only have to rotate your gas half as often as you would, your fuel, your diesel, half as often as you would with your gas. To me, that's almost enough of a selling point right there. Number 4, and there's a reason that they haul all of our goods across country by diesel, and that's simply because the fuel economy is so much better. You get a lot better miles per gallon, run time per gallon out of diesel than you do the same amount of gas. So again, if storage space is a commodity, if you don't have a lot of space to store whatever fuel source you need, then why not store the one that you get the most runtime out of the same amount of space? Again, the 5-gallon gas analogy. You got a 5-gallon can of gasoline, a 5-gallon can of diesel, you're going to get significantly more runtime out of that diesel than you are out of the gas. So say you're, well, I guess an apartment, not necessarily, but say all you have is a small little shed to store things in, and say you've only got room for 2 5-gallon cans of fuel. Well, are you going to go gasoline or diesel? If that's the only decision that you have to make, then diesel's going to be your choice in this instance. Number 6, diesel engines are made to run under load for long periods of time. Gas engines will as well, but again, I love that, you know, if you compared a diesel engine to a gas engine, diesel engines are made to run hot and long and hard. So if you have if you're looking for something that maybe is or isn't close to a whole home backup generator, it may still be portable, but you're looking for something that is going to allow you to run for, especially if your area is prone to hurricanes or long-term power outages, and you need something that's going to be a workhorse, because most gas generators, you know, they don't recommend you to run them more than 2, 3 to 4 days before you shut them down. So, if you live in an area that sometimes it can be up to a week with a power outage, a diesel is definitely something to look at. They're just made to run and run under full load all the time. And of course, with a gas engine, the harder you run them, the longer you run them, the hotter they get, the harder it is on them. And to a lesser extent, that's true with diesel as well, but to a much, much lesser extent. So again, if you're looking for something you can run for a long period of time, like for a business, like a coffee shop in the Philippines, for instance, something that's going to be on day in and day out for maybe a month at a time or whatever, then you might consider looking at a diesel generator. Here's an interesting one that I didn't know till I started researching on this video. So number 7, diesels tend to run quieter. Now I hear everybody screaming, stop typing, don't type. I haven't finished my thought yet. Diesel generators tend to run quieter under load. So if you take a gas engine and a diesel engine side by side and put the same amount of load on them, the diesel generator is going to run at a lower RPM and hence a slightly lower decibel level than its comparable gas counterpart. And I thought, that's really cool. I had no idea, because everybody always complains about the damn diesels and how much they smell and how loud they are. And you know what? Idling, yes. Idling side by side. So if you're going to be doing a lot of idling with no load, which I don't know why you would want to idle a generator with no load for hours on end, but if you are, go get a gas generator. But if you're going to run it under load, and sound is important. Now, I mean, yes, you can get a fully enclosed inverter generator as well, but a diesel generator running under load is going to run at lower RPMs and a lower sound level than its counterpart in a gas. Something I learned, and I hope you enjoyed that too. The prepper in me, this is probably the best one that I love. So, I got asked the other day in the Atlantis Gazette Instagram Live interview, I got asked it. They said, what is the one area of preps that people overlook the most? And without even skipping a beat, I said, it's fuel. I'll tell you a story. I had a family member who went to go get a generator, or had a generator, power went out, had less than 5 gallons of fuel on hand. So what did they do? They dumped that in their generator. They put their 5-gallon gas can in the back of their truck, and they drove 20 miles and sat in line for quite some time, hours I guess, waiting to get gas. And when they got to the gas tank, they allowed them one single 5-gallon gas jug full of gas. That was the limit they had on at the time. So they burnt more fuel going up there, sitting and coming back than they actually would have if they'd have just stayed at home and siphoned the gas out of their vehicle. So what's really cool about diesel is when there's a power outage, and if you're slack and you forgot, and I didn't stock up like I should have, or I put a bunch of the diesel in my truck and I never refilled it or whatever. So in a pinch, in a bad situation, it's going to be easier to find diesel at the gas stations, at the fuel stations, than it is to find gas, because everybody and their dog is going to be out filling up their gas for their Honda EU 2000i or what their, Furman, Tri-Fuel, whatever they happen to have. Everybody's going to be out looking for gas or propane, and you're going to be one of the few with a diesel generator driving around thinking, I might have been dumb enough not to fill my gas cans, my diesel cans early on, but I'm still lucky enough that I can go and get it right now because everybody wants gas. So I think, to me, that's a really cool, sometimes thinking outside the box, right? And I love the idea of a diesel generator. I don't have one personally, but I love playing this game, Last month or the month before it was, why should I pick a smaller generator? Well, I don't have a smaller generator. I mean, I do, but my big one is a big generator. But people all come from different ways of life, and they need to know, hey, maybe there are different options. Just because, Tim, you love your Furman Tri-Fuel generator doesn't mean that might be right for me. So I thought we'd play this game of, look at the diesel, why might it work for you? And to me, the one reason, probably the biggest selling point of all of them is simply the fact that there's a really good chance when the shit hits the fan, speaking, and you need to get out there and you need to find fuel for your generator, there's a lot better chance there's going to be diesel in those underground tanks for a lot longer than there is gas, because everybody's looking for gas for their household generators, but not a lot of people need diesel. So I thought, again, we'll get into the 4 reasons why you might not want a diesel generator or why they're not as good as a gas in a minute, but I thought I'd run down 4 brands because one of the reasons I don't want to get into a whole lot quite yet, but there are less brands available on the market. But the 4 main ones that I was able to find online, and they come fairly highly recommended. And the first one, of course, Generac, their XD series. They have a series of diesel generators, and I love Generac generators. They make really good standby whole home generators, the whole works, nice stuff. But if you're looking for a diesel, they seem to be one of the best ones on the market. And a few others are the DuroStar DS series, the Gillette brand, and Pulsar. They all make portable, and I use that term loosely, diesel generators that you can look up. So I'll throw a link in the description below for the Generac ones, and you can Google the rest of them. And I also have a comparison chart of the top 4 diesel generators on the market. I'll throw that in there for you as well. So the 4 reasons that you might not want to buy a diesel generator. If cost is a reason, the fuel is more expensive. Now, I don't know if it was just where I grew up, but on the East Coast in Canada, when I was younger, diesel used to be less per liter than gas was. And I don't know when it changed. And if you guys remember it that way too, diesel being less per gallon than gas, maybe I'm misremembering something, but I'm sure it was. But I looked back through the last decade on charts online to make sure, and overall, like 5% more. Anyway, diesel. So if you're storing diesel on the shelf, not figuring anything else out, 5 gallons of diesel is going to cost you a little more than 5 gallons of gas. So that can be, hopefully it's not a no-starter, non-starter for you, but that can be an issue. Cost is always an issue. And if you're looking at stockpiling 60 gallons in 12 5-gallon gas jugs or 100 gallons in a 100-gallon gas can, then that is going to add up just a little bit. So again, a little bit more expensive for the fuel. This one is a killer. The diesel generators overall tend to be a lot heavier than the gas. I looked at the 4 main ones on that chart, and they all tended to be like double the weight of their comparable gas counterparts. Most of them were in like the 300, 350, and one was close to 400 pounds. My Furman, it takes my wife everything that we can do, my wife and I, to lift it. It's just around 200 pounds. I can't imagine having a generator twice that weight. They're all called portable, and I use air quotes very strongly here because the only thing that makes them portable is the fact they have wheels on them. There's nothing else that makes them portable, because a 400-pound generator, even if they have a well-balanced wheel and handle kit, man, you're not going to want to pick that thing up and move it anywhere. So you might as well count on the diesel being almost a stationary generator. Number 3, another reason that you may not want to pick a diesel generator is there's a hell of a lot less selection out there on the market. They're a lot harder to find. You got to do a lot more research. You might even have to travel a little bit to find one you like. Amazon does seem to have some, but just overall, you may have a harder time finding a generator that has the features you're looking for, because, you know, there's probably 10 brands of gas generators or 20 brands for every one diesel there is out there. So if selection's a big deal to you and you want to be able to price compare and shop around, diesel's not going to cut it for you. And of course, the diesel generators themselves, number 4, are more money as well. So if you're looking at, you know, something in the 5,000 to 6,000 watt range, you're going to pay significantly more, you know, 50% and up more for a diesel generator. So they are a premium product. It's like buying a diesel truck. You pay more for that long life motor with a little bit better mileage and the whole works. So again, if upfront cost is a bigger deal to you, then you might look at gasoline. So really, when it comes down to it, who is a diesel generator for? I mean, it can be for anybody, absolutely. But if you're looking for a long life motor, you have long power outages, or you need to run a generator for long, uninterrupted periods of time, a diesel generator might be what you're looking for. If you have a generator, if you're looking for a generator that is basically stationary and that in an absolute pinch, you know, 2 of you could push it up a ramp onto a truck and you could drive away with it, and maybe you want to call it portable and you might need it once in your life to be able to move it somewhere, then that might be the way to go. Like for this little coffee shop over in the Philippines, I think a diesel would be awesome, simply because it's something they're going to need day in and day out to run their business. You know, would a whole house standby generator hardwired in the whole works be better? Sure, but that might not be in the budget or in the cards. So if you're looking for something that'll run a long time, durable, and under load, then a diesel might be the way to go, especially if you had a big storage tank on hand and you could get it delivered by truck. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I always love talking about generators. This was a fun one because it involved a little bit of research on my part, stuff I knew ahead of time, but things I wanted to maybe learn and gather a little more intel, just so I could make sure that I was forthright and as full of information and BS. No, I'm just kidding. As full as information as I could be for you guys. So now, if any of you guys have diesel generators out there, I'd love to hear about it. The only one I ever sold was the King Canada ones, and they're pretty generic, but they had a huge kind of iron or steel shroud around them. They were heavy, built with tiny little wheels for a great big generator, but they ran. And, you know, I heard good things from my customers, but I'd love to hear back from you guys. And if you guys have any thoughts, you're like, Tim, you're out to lunch, diesel's absolute trash, don't waste your time, your money, anything on it, let me know. I'd love to hear that too. And if you're new to the community, introduce yourself, throw your comment in the description below. And if you have knowledge to share with us, man, share it, because I love hearing from you guys. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.